just a moment. Again, we're just waiting for Jinro's request, and Jinro actually looks like he's reading Team Liquid, actually. He's like, oh, I'm ready to hop in this game, and here he comes.
We're going to ask him if he enjoyed checking the forum, and we're going to have to make TT1 red and Jinro the blue player. So it looks like we're getting some smiles from the players out front, and there is the good luck, the have fun, and the good game going into the winners bracket finals. Both these players are top 3. Give a cheer for LiquidJinro and TT1 from Fnatic MSI, the 2 players who have not lost a series yet.
I know, and that is so awesome to think about. We are basically seeing the 2 best players who have come and showed their impressive skills here at MLG Dallas. And one of these players will unfortunately fall to the lower bracket, but still have a chance to climb back up. Essentially, this can be sometimes a preview of the final that is yet to come.
So there we have LiquidJinro at the right position as the lower-seeded blue Terran on Metalopolis, and on the top we have TT1, the higher-seeded red Protoss.
All right, well, we saw some of the very impressive play from Jinro, some of the builds that he's deployed here based off of the race that he is playing. He's been very solid the entire time. He did drop a game to Pain User, but then came back and won 2 very convincing games, really inching forward and showing how important positioning can be in those TVT battles, having that impressive vision, etc. And we are getting started right here in the winner bracket final. TT1 against Jinro in our opening moments of the game.
Now, of course, they did note the lag, but unless they talk to a ref, they cannot pause. That could be just them complaining. It is, of course, absolutely legal to request a pause for an issue with the connection, but either way, it looks like both players are happy enough to continue playing it out. TT1 has thrown down that pylon in his main, wants to obviously get his gateways in a very nice closed-off spot. Notice him already creating little blocks with his buildings to prevent Hellions or Reapers from slipping through.
Now, when you are playing against, you are Jinro, and you are playing against a player who has very solid strategies, very meticulous, and even how he described it as perfection in some way, shape, or form. You know, are you going to continue to use just what you know against them, or do you try to interrupt that perfection, interrupt that flow of the Protoss player in this matchup?
Definitely. I mean, that is actually a key in all matchups at very high levels. Once players get out of the, once players get into the ability to do very well-timed, smoothly executed builds, and everyone's feeling happy, you realize they're only happy and satisfied if they are left alone in the game. As much pressure as you can put on, either to be a mental distraction or to actually be a real diversion, like killing workers to mess up this food count, that is a very easy way to throw off a lesser player, but both these players have proven to be quite resilient. Orbital Command and Marine out right now for Jinro, and TT1 is getting his Cyber Core.
Yeah, that Cyber Core is really, really far back in the base, too. Is he really trying to hide that from any scouting that comes forward?
I think he's very cleverly placing buildings to spot. Medevacs love to move along this top ledge. No reason not to do a little block down there. And it looks like, oh, the Manor Factory going to block that probe. But, of course, also just building the factory because likely going to be floating it directly here to his opponent's side.
And Jinro is going to make it into the base, and he is going to scout what is going on. We do have our first chrono boosted unit. It's going to be a stalker coming out of there as well. And Warpgate already done researching. Saw some very unique builds by TT1 in the last matchup that we saw him play in the winner bracket. That was versus Machine, where he had, of course, that sick timing with the 6 Warpgates, held off that push, came back to win the series.
Given the timing of the second gas, looks like Jinro will be going into some big Banshee play, and I absolutely love that move. And he's going to be distracting in the entire meantime with this factory. There's 1 starport going down and a reactor for his barracks. So I guess not huge Banshee play, but instead just getting a factory. Or, hey, he could just be going straight up for the medevac. Yeah, and there's the factory being floated. So Jinro's going to find some place to land it here as TT1 is doing the very safe double gateway and robo build.
Yep, robo is about 50% done as the factory just flies over and gets a great view. If you look out the left side, you can see the nexus of TT1. And we got starport going up with barracks as well, additional barracks being thrown down in there, and curious to see what he will ultimately do with that factory sentry out as well. Going to start to do a little bit of damage, but of course with 1,250 hit points, it's going to be hard for that one guy to take him out.
So, you know, sometimes you build a pylon to block a Zerg's hatch against Terran. Or if you're Terran, you just land the factory there, so he is going to be taking some zapping damage there. But it does look like he's going to lift off just in time to let this probe build a Nexus.
And moving that away, actually, probe did not come down quite yet. He's at 400 minerals now. Here he comes as more units warping in, some more sentries, some more stalkers, and this army of TT1 continuing to grow.
Ooh.
We did see the observer quickly scanned and killed there by Jinro. Does not want his opponent to have any eyeballs in his base.
And it looks like Jinro just doing a great job of scouting with this factory. This is an extremely annoying but highly effective way of checking out what your opponent is doing, especially in these proxy positions.
Bunker is up at the front, and we've, of course, got the Marines scouting now around the area. That factory is going to continue to float back here, and the Nexus is at about 50% done. Additionally, we do have that first Banshee out. Stim is underway, and some more Marines also coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, very cool to get an extremely fast Raven. You can throw down those point defense drones, and it looks like, wow, TT1 getting, as all Protosses have been doing today, the extremely fast Robo Bay. Players love getting that very fast Colossus, and I think I've said enough about that. To this game, I'm going to be like, that's awesome, Wheat. Way to go, Colossi.
And that's exactly what we're going to see over there. So that is awesome, as we'll see how it will go and how it will play into what Jinro has in store for his opponent. Now some Marauders coming out as well, in addition to some Marines. And here's that first Banshee coming out. Curious to see what exactly his plan is to do with this. Not only give him some vision inside the base, but also some harassing, as he's going to have to take the long way around in order to get to the back of that mineral line.
Very, very annoying to be up against Banshees in these positions. You want to be doing a push with your Colossi somewhat quickly. You want to be able to get to your opponent's base and take out those Marines, but you have to always keep pulling Stalkers farther and farther back. The Colossi cannot help at all with these Banshees. In fact, the Colossi do the exact opposite. They make you wish you didn't get Colossi, and there go down a few hits, and of course, Jinro just pulls away.
Yep, took one hit there, only 10 points of damage, did get one kill, and that Observer will begin following that Banshee. Banshee now going over to the other base. Stalker will rotate around to try to get some additional damage. He does get a couple of hits, but again, he just moves away. Second kill. He's just very, very cautious, and I do believe he did see that Colossus kind of come into view there, and so Jinro is going to try to keep this Banshee alive. There is a second one incoming. It's now beating on this pylon over here that is behind the smoke.
Yeah, I mean, Banshees are so effective, just in general, but especially in these positions. And Jinro is still getting more Banshees. Looks like we have more gateways going down by TT1, and has he halted Colossus production? Yes, he has, not even getting the Thermal Lance upgrade, just sort of abandoning that for the time being. Jinro doing a completely different style than the one that we saw in his game against Sock.
Yeah, completely different. And he's also got a lot more Banshees coming out as well. There is the third one, and now he's going to make the switch here as he puts it on the reactor. And he's got 3 Banshees now, one of them being repaired as well. So 3 full health Banshees heading out right again. Combat Shield about to finish, and Vikings now coming out of that reactor starport.
Very, very cool play. He can do a lot of harassment, and then he saw the Colossus, and then is going to get the Vikings to be able to adequately deal with it. More Colossi coming out. No range yet. Forge coming out from TT1. That's something that we haven't seen a lot of. Don't like that pylon placement at all. That walls off more Stalkers from getting in there, and there we see how the wall is coming into negative effect. But one Stalker gets picked off, and all of TT1 Stalkers are pinned at the back.
I like that he's using the 2 Banshees in the back. He's using this one on the outskirts of TT1's base to take out those pylons, and it's a good thing he made these pylons around the Nexus that could have powered down the robotics bay. Now they're going to fire this one down. Oh, it manages to stay alive with 32 points of health, but look at how much damage those Banshees in great numbers can do. And great numbers, I mean, this is only 3. He is not producing any more, but the longer he can keep these alive, the better off it's going to be just chipping away at some of these units and pylons and various buildings of TT1.
Now, as fun as that harassment is to see, and as annoying as it can feel for TT1, TT1 still is ahead in the food count. He's getting the upgrades, he's getting photon cannons, he's still getting the Colossi. No range yet, which could be a huge misstep. But Jinro needs to begin doing a little bit more pressure with his Marines and Marauders, and it looks like he's gearing up to do so. He has all of those key upgrades, the concussive shells, the last one coming up right now, picking off that Xel'Naga watchtower, and this is a very intimidating force. Don't forget that those Banshees still can do huge damage to the Colossus.
Yeah, we do have a couple of medevacs coming out as well. Vikings will follow, and so that will help out this army considerably. He's going to move through the gold of his opponent and just get ready, stage up right here. Of course, positioning huge for Terran. Look at this probe now heading over. He wants to put a Nexus down. Oh, no, there is that factory. Now, if his army moves over to deal with that factory, and here he goes, the big push.
Oh, no, there's no Stalkers to defend. One Colossi for free. Jinro is advancing in completely unstopped. There's the point defense drone going down. TT1 caught at a horrendous angle. The last remaining Colossus falls. Look at the force fields from TT1 trying to do damage, but TT1 was just caught at the worst possible angle at the worst possible time, and Jinro is exploiting it with his enormous Terran force.
Yeah, so much is being damaged here. We've got probes dying, and there it is, GG.
Wow, there's the good game.
And wow, I mean, Jinro just, he levels up in his power level like each game that he goes through, just looking more and more impressive. And now we will be going to TT1 to find out what map he wants to choose, as game one decidedly.
Great job moving around with all those Banshees, and TT1 felt obligated to leave all the Stalkers in the main, even more Stalkers behind the natural, and there were nothing but Zealots and Colossus outside the front, so the Vikings just got to walk up and kill them for free.
Yeah.
And of course, if that is the power unit of your army, you desperately need that not to fall.
Yeah, you know, it was bad enough that he went over to take his third, and of course the Nexus could not be dropped due to the factory that was there, but the fact that his armies were actually so out of position there, it was a really, really quick cleanup, and I'm sure even Jinro was a little surprised that he was able to win that so easily.
Yeah, yeah.
And so here we go. If we are ready, we're going to switch the colors and get things ready. Jinro looking very focused, and I mean, just phenomenal job. His first MLG outing, and that's what's even more impressive. You know, if you didn't know anything about the world of StarCraft and you were just watching MLG events, and suddenly in a third event, Jinro just comes out of nowhere, and even though people know exactly who he is and where he's from and what he's been doing lately, but still an impressive showing here in this environment. So we have got all the players ready. Looks like they are good, and we just got update that Machine is up 1-0 in his match versus TLO.
So that does mean that Machine does have the chance to win that 5th place prize money, and the loser of that will get the 6th place prize money. But either way, at hand, we have LiquidJinro against TT1 Game 2 on Xel'Naga Caverns. Jinro already leading 1-0, but we have seen the tides